In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get better trills on the piano with this revolutionary practice method in 2023. This revolutionary practice method is one of my absolute favorite ways to practice trills because it's going to help you play trills accurately. It's going to make your trills sound really clean and clear. It's going to get your trills into your muscle memory and ultimately allow you to be able to play them with speed and ease. Trills can be the most difficult part of a piece. The part where you're playing and you know the trill is coming up and you start to panic and you're telling yourself, don't mess it up, don't mess it up, don't mess it up. And you get there and you totally mess it up. But if you use this method, that's not gonna happen. Make sure that you stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm gonna give you one big caveat about this method. And if you miss that caveat and you try to do this method, it's not going to work. Okay, so when we see trills in a piece, what we're gonna do is we are going to purposefully manipulate the rhythm slightly. So we're gonna start by taking our trill and we're going to look at all of the notes in the trill and we're gonna practice making the notes long, short, long, short, long, short, long. And if you were to actually measure this out rhythmically, we would be doing like a dotted eighth note with a 16th note. Now doing this with the metronome is the best way to do it, and starting slowly and working up is a really effective way to do it. You would play long, short, long, short, long, short, long, and then you would do that until it was comfortable and accurate many times in a row, and then you would go a little bit faster. And you would repeat that as you got faster and faster with the metronome. Now we have to be playing accurately or it's not going to work. So you need to start at a speed where you know you can do it accurately. We also want to do small sections at a time. So if your trill is over 3 or 4 measures, I would recommend taking like 1 measure at a time at the very most. Now, once we've sped it up with the metronome and we've done long, short, long, short, long, and it feels really comfortable and we're playing it accurately, then we're gonna switch that rhythm. And we're gonna do short, long, short, long, short, long, starting slow with the metronome and speeding it up. When you're doing this practice method, you want to exaggerate. So it doesn't really matter that you're doing the rhythm perfectly accurately. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dotted eighth note and a 16th note. We just want that feeling of long and accented and then short and light. Now, once you've accomplished these 2 rhythms, you're gonna do a different pattern that involves a long note and then 3 fast notes, and then a long note, and then 3 fast notes. I like to think of this as a quarter note and then 3 triplets, and then a quarter note and then 3 triplets. We go through the same process, nice and slow with the metronome, speeding it up, and then we switch it around. And now we're gonna do 3 fast notes, 1 longer note, 3 fast notes, 1 longer note, or triplets, quarter note, triplets, quarter note. Now the caveats for this practice method are that first of all, you must be consistent with your fingering. If your fingering is not already written in your score, do that now and do that before you try this practice method, because if you're winging it and you're making up the fingering as you go, it's not going to work. This practice method really jumpstarts things into your muscle memory, and we don't want to get things into our muscle memory wrong because then we're gonna have to go back and fix them. We also want to make sure that we're staying loose and flexible and that we're rotating at the wrist. Anytime that we're doing trills, we want to make sure that it's not our fingers that are doing all the work, it's actually the rotation of the wrist. And I talk a lot more about this in one of the other videos that I do on trills and also in my wrist technique video, and those are linked in the description. Before you try to manipulate the rhythm of your trill, you have to actually know the correct rhythm. So when you see a trill in your music, it's not just a random conglomeration of notes, it's actually a set amount of notes. And if it's not written out in your music, you actually have to go through and decide how many notes are you going to do in this trill. Because the other thing is this revolutionary practice method is not going to work if you're just improvising and if every time you do it, you're doing it differently. So if I see my trill and the first time that I practice, I do 10 notes, and then the next time that I practice, I do 15 notes, and then I do 14 notes, I'm giving my brain really mixed signals about what I'm actually doing in this section of music. And you're never going to have speed or accuracy. You're never really going to be able to play a trill properly unless you know the correct amount of notes that go into the trill. So if you don't know, I would recommend looking up other editions of the piece of music because a lot of editors will actually write the trill out for you so you can see how many notes there are. If you can't find another edition, I would recommend listening on YouTube and maybe slowing down the recording so that you can actually count how many notes there are and hear exactly what's going on with the trill. And if none of that works, join my Facebook group and post a picture of your trill and I can help you figure it out.